Hey everyone, I want to talk about Days Gone. So this is a title I had started a while ago and I kind of came back to it. Mainly because it's a PlayStation exclusive and it's a pretty well done one at that. I kind of thought, they're shilling it as exclusive. It's like a single player zombie game. We don't have, enough of those, right? And along with a bunch of other stuff, I kind of let it sit on my shelf. But coming back to it, it's actually a pretty damn good game. What really stands out to me, at least, about Days Gone is the writing. The writing for the characters feels very real, very actually human-like in the sense. Humans will trip over their words. They will end up making excuses. They'll end up lying in the moment. They'll make expressions which are unusual. The writing in Days Gone has been probably the best writing I've ever seen of any game. To that extent, the thing that really encapsulates this game to me as not just another zombie game is the beginning section where you have your best friend, Boomer, I think, or whatever. And you end up, you're kind of like, there's a bunch of zombies around and you're like, look, if we just go to this one spot and get to this one part, we can repair my bike and we can get it up to full speed again. And so when you go in and sneak in and do this, you convince him because he doesn't want to do it. He's like, it's too risky, but you convince him. And you go in and you get the part, but by the time you get back, what's happened is that he's been attacked by these Ripper guys, which are not zombies, but they're insane, the insane cult people. And so what's happened is that they take him and they take his armor, they torture him with a blowtorch. But anyway, not too many details or spoilers, but the thing is that you have to bring him back to safety, but he's out of commission. And the main character, Deacon St. John, is just filled with guilt over what he allowed to happen. That the cost of getting that bike part was nowhere near the cost of his best friend basically almost losing his arm. And it's just this awkward tension between them where they both know that Deacon made the wrong call. And it's such a weird scene that just not in any zombie, but any like movie in general. That's such an interesting, nuanced thing to see. But aside from that, Days Gone, it looks amazing. It plays amazing. The world is not super huge. It's actually very condensed and not too small, so you can actually find a lot of stuff. It's, there's a lot of things going on. The story, again, isn't, so amazing. It's like there's zombies and, they call them freaks. It takes place in, in Washington State, in the mountain areas. It's a very cool setting, very kind of atmospheric. The way the characters interact are interesting, and it feels, of all the zombie games I've played, it feels very realistic in that sense. You have very limited ammo, obviously. Melee weapons are your best friend. You build reputation with camps by doing side missions, and then you get access to more missions and supplies, either upgrades for your bike or your arsenal. You kind of can ride around the world without feeling too big or lost. You'll come across, either zombies or someone in help or animals. It feels a lot like Far Cry 5's world, to be honest with you, in the sense that it's there's a lot of stuff to do, and the scale of the encounters is roughly the same. The story is pretty much whatever. He put his wife on a helicopter. She was stabbed. Did she make it or not? He's trying to find out, what the government did, if they're behind it. Pretty standard stuff. I haven't actually beaten it yet, but that's the thing. I'm probably not actually going to beat this game because I played enough of it until I was satisfied. So while it's good, it's not good enough to have me finish it. It's like, this is kind of cool. This is kind of fun. The best mechanic is the bike. The fact that it's not just you have a bunch of random vehicles, you have the bike, and the bike is it's actually your save spot. You can actually save at the bike or a bed at the home base. And bike maintenance is a huge thing. You can find scrap and repair your bike if it gets broken. It never gets fully destroyed, and you also need to find gas canisters to fuel it up. And I just think that's such a fun little quirky mechanic that feels kind of real. And of course, they're scattered throughout the world, so it's not too hard. But there are times where I've been on the road, and if you run out of gas in the middle of the country, like, you will have to go find a gas canister and bring it back to it. There's, of course, fast traveling. There are cool bosses where you end up using your gun on your bike and shooting the guy in front of you. It's a very fun game. I feel like it's something that's kind of been overlooked or overshadowed, but I think Days Gone has a really good setting, mood, gameplay. It looks great. The environment and the weather effects are really, really amazing. The gameplay is smooth, the driving, the shooting. In terms of like a Walking Dead-esque video game, I mean, the Walking Dead video game with Clementine, I think her name is, that's also very good. That's a great story, but it's a Telltale game. It's you're not feeling like you're in the Walking Dead video game. You feel like you're watching another Walking Dead spinoff, which also has a great story, and I'd highly recommend it too. It's really, really well done, and that last scene, very impactful. Definitely one of the classics of gaming stories. But this is the game where if you want to feel like you're in it, if you actually want to play a Walking Dead zombie survival game, this feels like it without being too onerous. It's not something like DayZ where you have a bajillion things in your inventory. You have herbs and you need to craft things. There's some crafting, but it's things you already have picked up. It's not super onerous. You're never going out of your way to find something. Usually it's like, okay, if you scan the environment, you can find what you need. There's cool upgrades like slow down time and, the basic survival stuff, extended things. And the characters are just really interesting. It does flashbacks to when he was with his wife and his old friend. What kept me going through this game is seeing how the characters would react. The overall story is not there. The story is that he's looking for his wife. That's it. It's nothing super amazing. But Deacon St. John feels like a character. If any character he reminds me of is probably John Marston from Red Dead Redemption. He's that gruff, tough, but also conflicted guy. And even his dialogue is that I've never seen dialogue where, you're going up against raiders or bandits, but you're always alone. So there's no reason for a character to talk to himself. And it kind of is already kind of crazy for a character to talk to themselves while they're doing something. And they kind of take note of that, where Deacon, he's talking like, oh, these damn rapists, murderers, they deserve this. And it's a very kind of intentionally uncomfortable / it kind of sounds kind of crazy while he's doing this, but it's understandable because the society has collapsed. And there's very much, a lot of internal conflicts where no one's fully good. You have the work camp where it's the survivors, but if you bring someone to that camp, they make them work like a slave to grow food because they need to do that. But they still treat them like slaves, and they're very oppressive. But the alternative is to fend for yourself. And so there's a lot of like conflict internally that isn't really, it's put on into the story a little bit, but it's kind of like, this is how it is. There's nothing that this game is trying to convince you of. There's no propaganda. It's just the world is bad and you have to deal with it. And these are the people left in the world. It's the tough people. It's the one of the people who runs this camp is like we used to work at a prison. So they're running it like a prison. They're running it. Only the tough people have survived. The bikers, the drug dealers, the ex-convicts are the ones surviving. And then the totally innocent, naive people who are also there. It's a really interesting world, a really interesting mechanics. The gunplay is great. Getting a new rifle feels amazing. Shotguns are satisfying. The gore system is, nothing too much, an appropriate level. The melee weapons are great. Each one has a different kind of animation. It feels like a really well done, genuine AAA game that I haven't seen in a while. And it feels like the last time I saw something like that, and it's a Sony exclusive. Maybe people hate it just for that reason, but it as it is, it's actually fine to play. Again, at the same time, I'm not going to beat it, so I can't give it my full appraisal and praise, but it's still something you should check out. But yeah, anyway, Days Gone, check it out.